In the last one change video, I buffed every single ultimate, so in this video, I'm going to nerf every single one. This one is a little bit more difficult to do since I don't want to completely make the ultimates useless, but then again, nerfing an ultimate is kind of difficult since you can't really add anything new to it, or at least that's what I thought. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy, it helps a lot. And first up is Ana. It is a little bit wild that you can inject your teammate with a magical projectile that just instantly goes to them. So now Nano Boost is a stoppable projectile. If you miss your Nano Boost, you completely waste it. Otherwise, if you do hit it, it will work the exact same as a regular Nano Boost. Even though Ashe is the second character alphabetically, I don't know why, but I always have a hard time doing something with Ashe's ultimate because you cannot edit Bob. So since Ashe and Bob are so inseparable, when one of them dies, the other one does too. This works both ways. If Ashe dies, Bob dies. If Bob dies, Ashe dies. And after that, we got Baptiste, and something a little weird about Baptiste's window is that the enemies cannot shoot through it. That was originally what I was going to do, but it ended up being a little bit too hard with the dummy bots I was using. So Baptiste just takes 100% more damage, and it's supposed to simulate like you're shooting him through the window, and I didn't really succeed with that, and I feel really bad about this one. But the alternative was making it so Baptiste had to place the window right where he was standing, and then have a dummy bot and do some weird other stuff. So this was the easiest fix. Next up is one that you could actually consider not a nerf. When Bastion ultimate actually ends, he will immediately go back into sentry form. He is unable to move, but he can still shoot and do all of his sentry things. This is supposed to simulate him getting stuck and not being able to get out of his transformation. For these nerfs, I didn't want to use the excuse of, oh, their ultimate broke. However, I ended up using it in this scenario because I'm missing Overwatch Classic. I want to go back and play Overwatch Classic more. I actually really like Bastion being able to be super overpowered but immobile, so that's why I did it here. Do keep in mind that some of these nerfs actually might be buffs in certain scenarios, and this is one of them. Also, shout out to the guy who just said nerf Bastion ulti, that was a great suggestion. Moving on to Brig, and I got a lot of comments saying that Brig isn't a MILF mommy, which yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it's not true. But between all those messages, Brig now transfers all of her health to her shield. Brig now has a super giant shield with a lot of health. However, she only has 1 hit point. This doesn't really follow any logic. I just found it really funny that this comment was in between a bunch of Brig ain't a MILF mommy comments. And I also like the comically big shield. It's just really funny. Next up is one that is actually really silly, and that is Cassidy. Cassidy cannot ult until it is 12 o'clock. When you play as Cassidy, you will have an internal clock for when you can high noon. And the second that it turns 12 PM, you will automatically gain your ultimate and ultimate. This does kind of mean that his ultimate is on a timer, and it's not really an ultimate that you can gain. So theoretically, you can ultimate more than you would normally, but you're probably going to be in a bad position when you do it. So there is a chance that this isn't a nerf, but forcing him to ultimate at 12 PM is still really silly. Quite honestly, for Doomfist, we didn't even need to implement this one. When you ultimate, the enemies will be pushed away from the center of your ultimate. This already happens, and you don't hit people with it anyway, so I'm sure this won't change Doom ult too much. After that is D.Va. When you launch your bomb, you do not get your mech back. I am tired of little Korean girls using up all the finances by blowing up their freaking mechs. This is where all our military spending is going. Freaking gamer girls launching nuclear bombs at people. Ridiculous. They should really transfer the money to, like, my bank account. Also, I did have a lot of comments with Bastion and D.Va making it so they can do friendly fire or self-damage. I didn't do that with a lot of ultimates just because it's really complicated, and some of them I've actually done before. For Echo, what I wanted to do was make it so when you transform into someone, you don't get increased ultimate charge because, you know, that doesn't really make sense, right? However, for whatever reason, you can't change Echo when she's in duplication, which is a little weird. Or at least the ultimate charge. So instead, if Echo dies in ultimate, she will die in real life. If Echo actually ever needed to get nerfed, this is how I would nerf Echo, because it is a little silly that you can duplicate into someone in the middle of the team, and then when they kill you, you can just fly away again. It's basically like having a second life. And I am of the personal opinion that Echo should be able to get their ultimate quicker, but as a downside, they can die in their duplication. After that, we got Genji. Reduce the duration so that when Genji pulls out his sword, he immediately just puts it away. Unfortunately, you cannot do that. The duration has to be at least 2 seconds. However, I basically did that. When you pull out the sword, you can swing a total of 3 times before you have to put it back. Why doesn't Genji just run around with the sword all day? I don't know, but now he has even less time with the sword. After that, for Hanzo, lower the projectile speed so drastically that it takes like 20 seconds before it comes up. So that is exactly what happens. You will place a dragon arrow and it will just kind of sit there. And then after about 20 seconds, it will shoot out the dragon. This could potentially throw people off guard. However, once they see the arrow and they know where it's gonna go, they will know to dodge it. There is a chance you might get some people though. Illari is so traumatized that she gets rid of her sun powers. And also it makes Lifeweaver faster and gain immortality. So what I did for Illari is when you're shooting your ultimate, you will light on fire and take damage because of how much sun power you have. And then when you shoot it, you will have no healing juices or outburst. On top of that, if you just so happen to hit a Lifeweaver, he will gain increased damage, speed, and reduced damage taken. So basically, don't hit a Lifeweaver with this. After that, we got Junkrat Queen. If you ultimate into a wall, you will stun yourself. I'm pretty sure this also works if you hit an enemy, so I have no idea how this ultimate is gonna work. For Junkrat's tire, when you ultimate, it will get slower over time. This is to simulate the actual tire losing momentum, and it actually makes it more realistic. This one's actually pretty funny watching the tire just get slower and slower while it loses momentum. When you ultimate as Juno, your race will want you back and will just kidnap you into the stratosphere. Unfortunately though, you will lose oxygen on your way up and you will die. Also, before any of you smart Alex say anything, I know she has a spacesuit on. I'm sorry that a comment with literally 10 words in the sentence does not elaborate on why she doesn't have oxygen as she's going to space. Freaking the time from her going from Earth to Mars is going to kill her. She's not going to have enough oxygen for that travel. And even if she does somehow, she'll have to go so fast that she's going to die anyways. Freaking small women making me have to scream at a freaking microphone again. Anyways, for Kiriko, we have a pretty wholesome one. Inspired by the Minecraft fox again. When you ultimate, at the end of your ultimate, your magazine will be taken along with your cooldowns. Because he's a little hungry boy. He wants to eat knives, I guess. And your feet. You will also be slowed down from the massive sugar rush from your ultimate. For Lifeweaver, if you get healed by his tree, you will be rooted in place, is what I would be saying if it actually worked. For some reason, Lifeweaver is just super bugged in the workshop. Here's an image on screen of what I mean, and you cannot detect when his tree heals people. So since I have absolutely no idea what to do with Lifeweaver, he just explodes. I don't know what to do. Anyways, moving on to Lucio, it doesn't really make sense that he jumps like a full foot into the air to drop the beat. You would think that you would need more height to do that. So I decided to fix that, and when he drops the beat, he will go really far into the air and then slam down. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a nerf because he's vulnerable. And it also looks very, very silly. For Mauga, cage fight lasts forever, and he cannot cancel it. When Mei ultimates and she's within the blizzard range, she will get frostbite and freeze herself. You know how I said with D.Va, you can't really detect where like the bomb goes, so it's really hard to do friendly fire. In this case, I made the projectile go down instantly, so you can detect roughly where it goes because it's under you. So Mei will start in the middle of her ultimate and will immediately start freezing. For Mercy, I added mass res back. However, it affects enemies also. This is definitely one that can be considered a buff, even if it does hit enemies. But again, I was kind of Overwatch 1 pilled while making this game mode, so I'm sorry. I don't want mass res back, let me be clear. But Overwatch 1, the classic game mode, has been very fun for me. So I have those ideas on the mind and I can't get them out. After Mercy, I think I'm gonna do the Overwatch community a favor. When Moira ultimates, you no longer can damage enemies and instead you can only heal your teammates. Meaning that maybe Moiras will actually heal their teammates. On top of that, just like your old ultimate, you can no longer fade in your ultimate. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, when your ultimate ends, you have no more healing juice. This one actually kind of sucks. This one feels like it would be bad to play. Moira's ult is pretty hard to nerf, and you can only do certain things with it, so I'm very sorry if this is absolutely unfun to play as. When Orisa uses her ultimate, she will just slam herself through a giant hole. This one is just very similar to Juno, where you just kind of die at the end of your ultimate, but it is really funny seeing Orisa just fall through the map randomly. For Pharah, I was originally going to make it so when you ultimate, you will push yourself backwards, but since Apply Impulse does not work on Pharah, you would have to use Teleport Pharah, and that feels really, really bad as you cannot move your crosshair back and forth. So instead, I did something a little bit more lame, and I slowed down her projectile speed so it looks really, really cool, but it's just Pharah ultimate, but slower. I actually didn't know her projectiles spun like that. I thought it always went into a straight line. But I guess now you can attack the enemies with a bunch of fireflies, because that's what they look like. After that, we got the Ram Daddy. When you ultimate as Ramattra, your ultimate will always be 3 seconds long. You can no longer extend it with hitting enemies. Aww. This one just kind of sucks. I mean, I guess it still is a free, like, extra health, though. For Reaper, when his ultimate ends, he just stays spinning. I was originally gonna do this, but it felt too nauseating, so I decided to make it so you can actually see the POV of Reaper and you'll spin with him. So instead of a third-person bird's eye view, you'll have a first-person spinning camera. The ultimate is actually not different at all except for this. For Reinhardt, when he hammers down, he throws it back. Wait, that's not what that said. Reinhardt nerf, the big swing throws his back out and knocks him down. This one's really funny, just watching an old man fall over. So now he's gonna also fall over and fly into the sky, because I don't know, I just thought it would be funny. For Roadhog, when he ultimates, he will actually push himself away from the target. Most of the time, you want to get someone in a corner so you can shoot them and kill them. And in order to do that, you want to be as close as possible. In this case, you're going to push yourself so far away that you can never kill anyone. There is a chance that you can use this as mobility to go upwards, but this is why I said that some of these might be buffs in some scenarios. I am pretty sure I actually did this in the rules change video. However, this one is just a better version of that, so I decided to add it anyways. Next up is the old schizophrenic man, me for real for real. When he slams people down in his ultimate, he will also slam himself down on accident. He's just a silly little guy and accidentally knocked himself down also. After that, we got Sojourn. When you ultimate, you will light yourself on fire because your gun is so hot, but that's kinda boring. That's like exactly what I did with Illari. So as a secondary effect, you will actually overclock time itself. This in particular will affect Cassidy, making it so he will just high noon over and over again because he keeps thinking it's 12 p.m. It may be high noon somewhere in the world, but it's also high noon every 5 seconds when Sojourn ultimates. Also, if you ever want to do a long list of changes, can you guys like separate it into multiple comments? Because it's very hard to give credit when your comment looks like this, and I have to put arrows pointing on which one it is. For Soldier, your ultimate doesn't do anything, and you still have to aim. However, I thought this was just a little bit too boring. And it kind of goes against the rule of I'm trying to make all these changes at least still usable, and having soldiers do nothing means you may as well never press it. So instead, what it does is when you body shot someone, it will correct it to a headshot. You'll still have to go through a 2-second ramp up period, but for the next 6 seconds, you will have infinite ammo, kind of like your actual ultimate. And when you body shot someone, it will turn that body shot into a headshot. Wait, this might actually low-key be a buff. For Sombra EMP, obviously, I kept getting suggestions to kick people out of the game, including teammates. So I decided to go with the middle ground and make it so EMP also affects teammates. But not only does it affect teammates, but it also affects you, so when you EMP, you're kind of just screwed in the middle of their team. For Symmetra, she just places a Ramattra shield. I kind of took my own intuition and made it a Sigma shield instead of a Ramattra shield. But it is just really funny watching Symmetra do her giant ultimate just for it to be a tiny little shield. After that, we got Tracer. Pulse Bomb now has a 60-second timer. This one low-key might be a buff because it hits you with your ultimate, you know, it does 20% of your health, it does less damage, it doesn't do completely no damage. But 50 seconds later, you're gonna get a notification saying you will explode in 10 seconds. This does give you time to react, so you can Kiriko soothe yourself or Bap immortality yourself. But the reason I say this might be a buff is because it also includes splash damage. So if you splash damage someone, they will still explode 60 seconds later. I just really like the idea of planting a bomb on someone, so I decided to leave it in. But do keep in mind that this nerf may low-key be a buff. For Holy Father Torb, they wanted me to make it so Torbjorn not hits your teammates, but you can't really detect where his cum is going. Oh, I shouldn't say that. But you can't really detect where his magma is going. So instead, when an enemy steps on your freaking, I'm gonna say it, on your magma, it's not anything else. I promise it's not anything else. He's not splurging everywhere. I promise he's putting magma there. When you touch the magma, you will get a small speed boost. Basically, Torbjorn's ultimate could backfire, giving the enemies a speed boost. And on top of that, it probably wouldn't do anything because they're just gonna zoom out of it. Venture Overwatch. When you ultimate as Venture Overwatch, when you primary fire, you will also hit your teammates as it's an earthquake like in Pokemon. I have had a rabid Pokemon addiction recently, so I wanted to add this. When you primary fire, I think in a 15-meter radius, you will do 75 damage to people, and this includes yourself. It's a little inconsistent, but I don't really want people killing their teammates, so I'm okay with it. Next up is Widowmaker. When you ultimate, everyone in the map is revealed for everyone. So this means that the enemy team will see where you are, your teammates will see where they are, and everyone's just revealed. There's only one issue. Outlines are still broken. Outlines will always be broken till the end of time, so instead it's just an arrow that tells you where people are. You will still have the advantage since you will have their outline, but everyone will see the little arrow and know to avoid you. For Winston, he loses his glasses and cannot see the HUD. I am pretty certain I have done this before, but I wanted to do it again, so I did. This also includes HUDs and nameplates, so you might confuse your teammates with the enemies. unless if you see their outline from behind a wall, because outlines are still broken. So I made an attempt to make it so you can't see who's who, or you can't see your health or anything. So I was getting a little flared up about the outline still being broken. I can't believe that, by the way. But yeah, have fun playing Blind Monkey Simulator. For Balls 3D, when you ultimate, you will change sizes to be the same size as an actual mine. If someone comes next to you, you will blow up like a mine. Basically, you're doing mine furry roleplay. I am unsure if you can do roleplay as a mine as a furry, but you actually are. You're a hamster, so you're an animal like a furry. You're roleplaying as a mine. So is it really that far-fetched to say it's furry roleplay? I am unsure, but moving on to the pink-haired lady. For Zarya, make it so her gun malfunctions, and whenever she ults, making it explode, killing her and all her loved ones nearby in a horrible flaming ball of fire. I just don't like Zarya. I personally don't mind Zarya myself, but this was just too funny, so I decided to do it somewhat. Again, this could be a buff, especially if you only have enemies on the enemy team. But this is what the Zarya hater wanted, so I mean, there you go. And finally, for Zenyatta, you also heal the enemies. You will literally make the playing field where no one can kill each other. So that means that you can just stall the game out for no reason. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate all of you that do watch my videos, and it's the whole reason I keep continuing. In the description is a Google form to vote on your favorite maps to play on, as I am still collecting votes for that. Just rank them from 1 to 10 on how much you like them. It really does help me a lot when you guys fill out those polls. And follow my Twitch or join my Discord if you ever want to be a part of playtesting or suggesting ideas. Oh, and I have some devious video ideas coming up. You guys just wait. I have a really funny idea, and I can't wait to torture someone with it.